of these things are meaningless without prayer. You need prayer. And on top of that, you need honesty in prayer. You can't be telling God the things that you think he wants to hear, because what he wants to hear is the depth of your heart. So if you go on, you're peeling your onion, and you're like, Lord, you're holy, you're wonderful, I want these things, but no, your will. I want to do all that you desire. I want to obey you. I want to, you're not being fully honest, because you're not giving him the specifics. What is it that you want? You know how many times I neglected the specifics? I was over here like, Lord, you do your will in my life. I just want you. I want more of you. And that is the truth. I do want more of him. But what is preventing me from having more of him? I need to be honest. I need to tell him, Lord, my desire right now is to have this. My desire right now is that I don't want to be here. I want to be there. You know, you have to be honest with God. And the more you are honest with him and growing your integrity, and why I had said what I said earlier about the stagnant believer or the faithless worker is because as I was bouncing between the two, I lacked integrity. I was telling people how close I was to God. I was telling people how much I honor him. I was telling people how much my life reflects fruit of him. But I wasn't really living like that. I didn't have a good prayer life. Behind closed doors, I was so limited. I was talking to him, but I wasn't giving him every part of me. Instead, I was talking to people about how to get close to God, but I wasn't getting close to him myself. That is where integrity comes in, and that's my willingness to grow in my integrity opened the door that God would be able to use my vulnerability for good. What is our little slogan? I call it our slogan, but it's the Bible verse. The Lord is close to all who call on him, but all who call on him in truth. He can only be close with you if you are calling on him in truth. If you are telling him, Lord, this is what I feel. I'm being fully honest with you, and I want your hands in this. When I look at that level of honesty, I'm brought to the book of Psalms. And looking at Psalms 18:25 says, to the faithful, you show yourself faithful. To those with integrity, you show integrity. And what does it say in Psalm 25:21? May integrity and honesty protect me, for I put my hope in you. Integrity and honesty requires that you are not fake with God. That you are so reverent to who he is, so aware of who he is, so engulfed in all of his holiness and greatness, that you are willing to not go, woe is me, but strip yourself of everything that is holding you back from showing the true naked self that you are to the Lord, and then going, but worthy you are. To say worthy you are, oh my goodness, the imagery that I get in my head is beautiful. Worthy you are is so much more meaningful when you're naked. I could sit here and say, worthy you are, but cover myself in all these pieces of clothing, not letting him see a glimpse of who I am. But worthy you are. How can I even know his worthiness if I'm not letting him see my nakedness? Worthy you are means so much more to the both of us when I'm fully naked, because I'm letting him see what could be, woe is me, I'm nothing. But worthy you are because you're planting a treasure within me. 2 Corinthians 4. You're planting a great treasure in me, a light within me, within the depth of something that is so weak, the clay jar that I am. It's so beautiful when I look at how reverence can provoke vulnerability, if we are humble enough to submit ourselves onto that. What also changed? My contentment. Not contentment in life in general, my contentment in my process. Let's be specific. I'm in various processes of my life. I'm being pruned in very uncomfortable ways. I'm being transitioned and expanded and brought to places that I didn't think I would be. One of the biggest examples I think I can give to you is this book. I've been writing this book, and it's so uncomfortable because I have to be as vulnerable as I can be about the process that I went through with my past addiction to pornography. And to be so vulnerable like that on paper it's a lot. But God is wringing me out. He's pruning me. He's bringing me to a place where it's okay to be vulnerable. Don't think woe is me. Think I am worthy. Oh my goodness, it like all connects. I love you, God. I love him so much. When I look at my contentment, I'm looking at how still I am. How much do I trust in him with where he's putting me, that I am still. I learned that I was fighting a lot of the incorrect fights. I was fighting things that I didn't really have to fight. When I looked at this book, for example, I prolonged that obedience for a very long time because I was scared to be that vulnerable. But when we look at the fight that I was fighting to make sure that no one would have the ability to belittle who I've become now by knowing who I was before. That's not a fight I need to fight. I don't need to justify myself. I don't need to, and I pray that this is something we can all acknowledge. You don't have to justify yourself. You don't have to fight on your behalf. Because who is fighting for you? The God of everything. And if he's fighting for you, who in the world can be against you? And I know you know this saying. I know we've seen it on t-shirts. Do you know what that really means? Who can be against you if the God of everything is for you? It doesn't mean, when it says that he is for you, it doesn't mean that, he's going to be for every decision you make and he supports you on everything that you want. That's not what that means. It means that you don't have to go, woe is me, in your vulnerability. And you don't have to cry in your suffering a worldly sorrow. But as Jesus did, in his suffering, he obeyed and found reverence. That is where God wants us. He wants us to be able to fight to know him. Fight past ourselves to encounter reverence for him. He doesn't want us fighting our vulnerability, fighting our process. He wants us to encounter him first so that all of this will fall into place. Because as you can see, as we talk about it more and more, reverence pours into vulnerability and vulnerability pours into contentment. You don't have to fight for your vulnerability. You don't have to fight for your contentment. You don't have to fight for any of these things because these things outpour through the reverence that you discover in God. It's crazy how all of it goes back to reverence. I was very discontent in my process. I was not finding obedience to be very simple. It was so much overthinking, which is crazy to me. Okay. When we go to contentment, my goodness, God is so good. When we go to the word content, I can only go to the book of Philippians. I can't say that there's a better moment. I mean, there's so many moments in the Bible, don't get me wrong. Go read your word. But there's so many moments in time in the word, specifically in this moment where Paul is imprisoned and he is somehow content. You know that his joy is from the Lord and from the Spirit because it wasn't dependent on his circumstance. He was just content. He was joyful. I'm sure, emotionally, he maybe didn't long to be in prison, but it wasn't something that made him neglect God's presence because he was in a place he didn't want to be. When I read Philippians 4:11, it says, "Not that I was ever in need," this is Paul speaking, "for I have learned how to be content with whatever I have." Further on, he says that he's learned to live with both nothing and everything. When I look at this type of contentment, applying it to our processes, applying it to fighting the wrong fights, applying it to finding obedience to be so difficult for some reason, are we able to find contentment after we have found vulnerability? And my answer is yes. You can absolutely. I think that's the answer. When we find vulnerability in God after we have encountered reverence, we now find the ability to be content in every circumstance. Why? Because when you're vulnerable, you give him access to conversate with you over every topic of your life and every season of your life. So he's giving you understanding of where you are, giving you understanding of why you're where you are, and pouring into you fruit for that, for what you will learn in where you are. And why is it that we gain contentment? Look at Philippians 4, verses 4 through 7, just a few verses before. Always be full of joy in the Lord. I say it again, rejoice. Let everyone see that you are considerate in all you do. Remember that the Lord is coming soon. Don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Tell God what you need and thank him for all he has done. Then you will experience God's peace, which exceeds anything we can understand. His peace will guard your hearts and minds as you live in Christ Jesus. Oh my goodness, my brain is about to explode. When I look at contentment, when I look at strife, and when we strife away from obedience, what is planted in all of that? Fear and anxiety. What kills fear and anxiety? If you would pray more. What would make you pray more? If you would be vulnerable. What would make you vulnerable? Is if when you stood before his holiness, you didn't think, woe is me. You thought, worthy you are, let me give you all of me. The equation has been found. Oh my goodness. Contentment is when you are able to pray in every circumstance, knowing that that's going to bring you joy. That's going to bring you peace. The peace that surpasses all understanding. Why does it surpass all understanding? Because it's not logical. You're in a place that may feel like a prison. You're in a place that feels like wilderness. Why would I be content in this? Because you have the capacity to receive a peace that surpasses all understanding, because God is going to give you understanding. God is going to give you the capacity to gain a new vision of where you are. Where you are, it's like having very dark sunglasses on. When you walk into a place, you're like, why is it so dark in here? I don't know why I'm here. God is like, take the glasses off. And out of nowhere, you see the color. Not saying you're going to see the joy in suffering, although partially you will. But another part, you'll just see the purpose of where you are. You'll see the vibrance of where you are, how it's meant to impact your character and your entire being. We pray more because then we will not have fear. We will not have anxiety. And what does 1 John 4 tell me? That love is what expels all fear. And you're telling me when I pray, I receive peace. And all of that brings me back to joy. Do you want love, peace, and joy in your life? Do you want fear to be expelled? Do you want for every part of you to be submitted to God and for your life to reap fruit? Pray more. Know him more. And you'll encounter contentment. You'll encounter peace that makes no sense because you're in a place that you should have no peace. But he's giving you peace. And he's giving you joy. And his love is expelling all fear. So now you're content in where you are. Not mattering the timeline of your life, where you are. Even the lack of, the thing that you feel like you lack. Not fearing any of it. because God himself is working within your life, allowing that contentment be found in your obedience. You don't have to overcomplicate your obedience. You don't have to find these new methods and new ways. What did we say earlier? Use what you've learned. Steward well what you've learned. He's giving you a way to experience contentment in every season. Wow, it's so beautiful when none of this I pre-wrote, none of this I learned like as I was writing. It was brought to me now, and I'm looking at it and I'm just like, wow, this makes so much sense. We seek out your love, we seek out your joy, we seek out your peace, as if those are the things that we can gain just by seeking out them. You know, like we seek out the fruit rather than the seeds that will bring the fruit. And God just wants us to seek out the seeds, plant them, and allow that he bring contentment into our lives. Lastly, what changed for me? And this is so profound. My connection. When I look at how I pursue the church, oh my goodness. Because I learned in me not having reverence for God and me not praying the way I should and me not being as vulnerable, I was isolating myself. As I was encountering the body every Sunday, as I was speaking to my friends, as I was trying to connect with them, there was something off. And my best friend Nellie, I talked with her this past weekend, and I was like, man, I felt so disconnected from her. But why did I feel disconnected? Because I had isolated myself to a place where I was discontent, I wasn't vulnerable, and I wasn't being reverent towards God. So I wasn't giving myself the openness to pursue the friendship that God has gifted me. And in the same way, why do you think the enemy wants us to be alone when we feel that we are not content in our lives? When we feel that our vulnerability is not going to do anything? When we feel like we have forgotten everything that God is? Why do you think he hides us from the church? Because the minute you no longer isolate yourself, you are opening the door to counsel. You're opening the door to vision. You're opening the door to see that you're not the only one going through what you're going through. And that is what the enemy loves saying, is you're the only one thinking that. You're the only one going through that. Oh my goodness, it all adds up to the church, the body. When you look at how the Lord has designed the body, I want to read to you Ephesians 4, verses 3, and then we're going to jump to 16. It says, make every effort to keep yourselves united in the Spirit, binding yourselves together with peace. Going further on to 16. He makes the whole body fit together perfectly. As each part does its own special work, it helps the other part grow, so that the whole body is healthy and growing and full of love. He's describing to you the church. How have you let yourself be isolated from the church? Because connection to the body will change everything for you. Because if you are an echo chamber in your spiritual life, you're your own counselor. But what happens when you're discouraged? What happens when you tell yourself that you're disqualified? What happens when you tell yourself that there's no way of getting out? There's no way of being faithful. There's no way of encountering joy, love, and peace. What happens when your echo chamber has now killed you? Where do you go? This is where we need the body. You need the church. As much as you say, I can have my own relationship in my house, or maybe I haven't connected well with a youth group or a church in general, or wherever I may be, I just haven't made good connections. I'm better off watching a sermon at home on my own. No, you need the body. You are a significant part of the body that will bring change for other people, and then those people will bring change to your life. It has not been anything that I thought would help me, but it has transformed my life when I sought out counsel. When I've reached out to my friends and I said, help me, because I don't know what to do right now. and it's changed my life for the better. So what has all this brought me to? My joy is back. A lot of my friends had been telling me, which is another reason the body helps you, the church helps you identify things that you're not seeing in yourself. You're not going to see that you lack the fruit that you once had. Only the body will be able to look at you and say, I'm feeling like this is not who they once were. What's happening? What's wrong? And don't be irritated when they correct you. Don't be irritated when they come to you. You can have emotions, but make sure that you are vulnerable enough to put those on display so that they don't have the power to cloud your mind from what God is trying to do. Make sure that you're being as vulnerable as possible when you are within the church. And of course, in the arms of a safe church. We know there's so much church hurt that's out there. You need to find safety. And then when you find safety, you will find people who can help identify things in you. My joy was gone. People were telling me left and right, and I was just not listening because I was isolated. I didn't think that I was not lacking any sort of joy. But I was not. Yeah. I didn't think I lacked joy. I thought I was fine. But the friends around me were like, you're not the same. Like, what's wrong? Like, I wasn't accepting it, but now I'm looking at it. I'm like, wow, my joy is back. I'm alive again. And it's all because I connected with community. It's all because I found contentment. It's all because I was vulnerable. It's all because I found my reverence with God. I had divine conversations. I had holy opportunities. Guys, I'm being exposed now in ways that it's not about platform exposure. It's more about the exposure and the small divine conversations and connections that God is opening me to. I'm able to be used by Him. And of course there's platform things. I'm now on here. I have the book that's going to be released. I have some of you that may know me within Church of God. I'm giving a word with my mom very soon, and I'm like, Lord, you're putting me out there. Not saying you're glorifying me, you're putting me vulnerably out there. So make sure that I am fully reflecting you, so that your name may be glorified in the midst of me being put on display like this. So God is giving holy opportunity because of all this. He has brought clarity to my process. There are parts of my life that are still feeling like a wilderness, but God has brought clarity where I still now have my joy. I haven't let it go. Obedience has actually become desirable. I'm starting to see parts of my life where I was once disobedient or negligent towards God's presence. Now I'm like, Lord, I need to submit myself in this way. Even the little things, my speech, my habits, everything is being submitted unto God. So now obedience is so much more accessible to me. It feels desirable. It feels like I don't want to do anything that disobeys my Father. So let me make sure everything I do is pleasing unto Him. God doesn't have to tell me to sin in order for me to say, is this good for me or is it not? Because I've learned, and remember if we go back to 1 Corinthians 6, where it talks about sexual sin, but at the very beginning it says, you may say that it's not a sin, but not everything is good for you at the end of the day. So make sure you're examining things under God, saying, Lord, I know that this may not be an in the book sin, but is it a sin for us? Is this going, Lord, have we ever asked God, is what I'm doing a sin for us? So many times I hear people say, is it a sin in the Bible? Tell me if it's a sin. Maybe it doesn't say in the word that it's wrong for you to do, but if you were to examine it with God, will He tell you, I don't want you doing that thing. I don't want you saying that thing. Because for us, it breaks our intimacy. For us, it brings separation. I don't want that for us. So start evaluating things in God. Start asking Him, did I say the right thing? Did I wear the right thing? Did I do the right thing? You have to give Him access. And obedience will be so much more desirable because now it's about relationship. Now it's about, Lord, I just want to be close to you, what am I doing to impede that? And the Lord will show you. And relationships were restored. All of this, what really has changed? My relationships were restored. This weekend, I went out with Natalia and I went out with Nelly. Just two of my many church people that I need to reconnect with. I need to be intentional with. I let a lot of my friendships die, and out of my fear of receiving counsel that would hurt me and all of these things, my relationships were restored. So allow all of this to remind you today to resist. Start resisting. Start submitting yourself unto reverence, knowing that this is the fruit of it. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect. There are distractions, there's doubts, there's desirable decisions. Ooh, D. I love being a poet. There's so many things that are trying to interrupt my reverence. But the key to everything, don't forget God. Make sure that your reverence points back to what you know about Him. And you won't forget what you've learned. You'll utilize it and it'll become wisdom. It'll become fear, it'll become love. And you'll really encounter who He is making you to be. Guys, I know this might have been really long. I'm so sorry. But I'm also not sorry because I really gave you my heart in this. God is teaching me so much, and it all points back to reverence. How much do I respect Him enough to let myself listen for Him? How much access am I willing to give to Him? And I want you to ask that to yourself. How much access are you willing to give to Him? How much of yourself are you willing to learn more about? Are you willing for Him to place a mirror? As you say, Lord, woe is me. He's like, nope. Remember me. Just say, worthy you are, Lord. And let me show you what it is in you that I would like to bring to maturity and begin to reflect who I am as your Father. My goodness, the Lord is doing abundant work, and I am so grateful that I can finally now see it. It's not that He ever stopped working, it's that at one point I grew blind to it. But now I can see it, and I pray that you can see it too. The Lord is working within every house. He's working within your life. Grow in truth, and you will find Him. I love you guys. I pray that this was helpful to you, and may we continue to grow together. I'm going on vacation, by the way. I'm going on vacation this week, so as I release, please share, please send support, give me your commentary, and I just want to be here with you, continuing to grow in truth. I love you all, and see you next week.